All right, the 2026 NFL Draft is in the books, but let's be honest, the real game is just getting started. Every single year, this thing is a massive chess match between front offices. But this year felt different. So forget a simple recap. We're going to break down the brilliant strategies, the wild gambles, and the picks that defined the entire weekend.
So, the big question on everyone's mind, right, now that the dust has settled, who really won the draft? And I'm not just talking about who got the most famous players. It's about who played the board the best, who found the value, who took the right risks. Let's dive in.
Okay, before we start handing out grades, we've got to be on the same page with two key terms, value and reach. Think of value as getting a 5-star player at a 1-star price. It's a total steal. And then you've got a reach. You know the one. That's the pick where everyone watching at home just goes, who? A team takes a guy way, way earlier than anyone, and I mean anyone, thought they would go. Keep those two ideas in your back pocket. So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll set the stage with a crazy draft day chess match. Then, we'll look at the teams who aced the test, and on the flip side, the biggest reaches of the weekend. Then we get to the main event, the quarterback casino, and we'll wrap it all up with a final scorecard. First up, the draft day chess match. So what made this year so nuts? Well, it really all came down to the talent pool itself.
Yeah, this draft class was described by pretty much everyone as being incredibly flat. Check this out. One report said there was, and I'm quoting here, a significantly larger, more homogeneous group of players where little differentiated the 15th ranked prospect from the 45th. So what does that actually mean? It means after the top dozen or so superstars, the talent level just kind of plateaued. The 15th best player wasn't all that different from the 45th. And if you're a general manager, that changes everything.
I mean, think about it, right? Why would you use a top 20 pick on a guy when you feel like you can get a player who's almost just as good 30 picks later? You wouldn't. The smart play became trading down, grabbing more lottery tickets for later, and that is exactly what we saw. It sparked this absolute whirlwind of deals, a record number of trades that had the draft board changing every 5 minutes. It was chaos. So even in the middle of all that chaos, some teams just played it perfectly. They navigated the storm and found some incredible value. So let's talk about the teams who absolutely aced the test. These are the winners. And let's start with the Chicago Bears. Man, this was a fantastic pick. Everyone and their mother knew the Bears desperately needed a center, and they landed Logan Jones from Iowa all the way down at pick 57 in the second round. This is just a textbook example of great drafting. You fill your biggest need with a perfect player at a spot where he is an absolute steal. And here's the kicker. He's not some project they hope develops in a year or two. No way. The consensus is that Logan Jones is going to be their starter from day one. Getting a plug-and-play starter at a critical position late in the second round, that is an A- grade all day long. A total home run for Chicago. Okay, who else gets a gold star? You have to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. They zeroed in on their guy, USC wideout Makai Lemon, and they didn't just sit back and hope he fell to them. Nope, they went on the attack. And that's what makes this move so great. It's not just that they got a dynamic player. It's how they did it. They traded up with the Dallas Cowboys to do it, their biggest rival. I mean, that is a boss move. They jumped the line, made a deal with the enemy, and snagged their guy. You just have to respect the aggression. Okay, so we've seen the genius moves, but you know how it goes? For every great value pick, there's a reach on the other side. So now, let's flip the script and look at the picks that had a lot of us just scratching our heads.
And Exhibit A might just be the Houston Texans taking tight end Marlon Klein from Michigan at pick 59. Now, Klein has some serious athletic potential for sure, but taking him in the second round, that came as a major surprise to just about everyone.
So why the shock? Well, as Sports Illustrated put it, this just feels very early for Klein. He's viewed as much more of a project than a polished, ready-to-go player, and taking a long-term project that high in the draft is a huge risk. That's why you saw this pick getting a D grade from a lot of analysts. And get this, just 12 career college starts. Let that sink in. 12. In a draft full of guys with 40 or 50 starts under their belt, the Texans made a huge bet on raw potential over proven production. And that, my friends, is the absolute definition of a reach. All right, now it's time for the story that completely took over the draft. Welcome to the quarterback casino. And tonight's main event, the shocking, jaw-dropping, dramatic fall of quarterback Carson Beck.
I'm serious. Of all the hundreds of picks made across 3 days, there was one that sent absolute shockwaves through the league. This was the one that left analysts just stunned. And here it is, with the 65th overall pick right at the top of the third round. The Arizona Cardinals select quarterback Carson Beck. So why was this such a bombshell? To really get it, you have to understand just how far this guy fell from grace.
Think about this for a second. Just 2 years ago, heading into the 2024 season, people were talking about Carson Beck as a potential #1 overall pick, the first name to be called. Fast forward to now, and he tumbles all the way into the third round. That's not just a slide, that is a complete and total collapse of his draft stock.
And the reaction from experts was, well, it was brutal. We're talking F grades. This quote from CBS Sports just sums it up perfectly. This feels like a relative slap in the face to Cardinals fans. Ouch. The team had other needs, and they use a premium pick on a 24-year-old quarterback who's considered a project with limited tools. It was a massive, confusing gamble.
Okay, so we've seen the good, the bad, and the truly baffling. Let's try to pull this all together and make some sense of it with our final scorecard.
Which, of course, brings us right back to our original question. After all the wheeling and dealing was done, who actually put themselves in the best position to succeed? So here's the bottom line. You had your smart shoppers, like the Bears and the Eagles, who just found incredible value and filled their biggest needs with immediate starters. Then you had your high rollers, the Cardinals and Texans, who just bet it all on raw potential. Could be a boom, could be a total bust. You also had teams playing the long game, like the Dolphins, who seemed to prioritize future potential over immediate needs. And overseeing it all was the great equalizer, that flat draft board that just forced everyone's hand and led to one of the most unpredictable drafts we have ever seen.
And so, that leaves us with the ultimate question. In 3 years, are we going to look back and say the Arizona Cardinals were geniuses for taking a gamble on a fallen star quarterback? Or will we be talking about how the Chicago Bears built a new powerhouse by making the smart, safe, high-value picks? I guess only time will tell.